Hi guys, so it seems that the shortage of heavy goods vehicle drivers is finally being picked up in the media, and Brexit is generally getting the blame. But to those who've been following this story, it's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the damage Brexit is inflicting on the British economy. A shortage in one place will have a knock-on effect somewhere else, or it would potentially put an entire supply chain into jeopardy. Because of staff shortages, Britain is now facing supply problems when it comes to frozen meals and poultry. This time the victim is carbon dioxide or CO2. Supplies of meat to supermarkets and restaurants will be affected almost immediately according to news reports. So why is CO2 an issue? Well, it's needed in packaging, refrigeration and delivery. One delivery company, Ocado, has already frozen, no pun intended, its deliveries of products to its customers because of a lack of dry ice. At the same time, the British Poultry Council is talking about a continuous collapse in the supply chain. Two large fertilizer plants in Teesside and Cheshire have closed as they've seen gas prices rise. CO2 is created as a byproduct in the fertilizer industry. The business secretary met with industry over the staff shortages and the CO2 supply issue and told everyone to keep calm. He said, and I quote, "There is no cause for immediate concern." However, industry leaders say the problem is a national security issue that should be resolved as soon as possible. I recently highlighted in another video the shortage of turkeys for Christmas due to staffing issues as a result of Brexit. In that video, the company that highlighted the problem, Two Sisters Food Group, was back again with another warning. Its owner said that the shortage of CO2 will make matters worse. Ranjit Singh Boparan said, and I quote, "There are less than 100 days left until Christmas, and Bernard Matthews and my other poultry companies are working harder than ever before to try and recruit people to maintain food supplies." The supply of Bernard Matthews turkeys this Christmas was already compromised, as I need to find 1,000 extra workers to process supplies. Now with no CO2 supply, Christmas will be cancelled. The industry is said to be at breaking point. It doesn't just affect poultry, but beef, pork and the wider food sector. The lack of CO2 for refrigeration will have a knock-on effect in slaughterhouses as well, which will mean pigs and poultry cannot be processed and instead will be left to remain on farms. Animal welfare groups have highlighted how welfare standards will no doubt drop as more and more animals need to be fed and kept in more crowded conditions. So much for welfare standards post-Brexit rising, another Brexiteer lie. A side note, just as the Tory government plans to cut the uplift to universal credit, it will mean more and more people relying on food banks. Well, this crisis in the supply of CO2 will mean more and more food waste, just as people are getting more and more desperate. The response from industry to what the government's handling of this crisis has been was described as disappointing to say the least. A British Poultry Council spokesman said he hoped to avoid a crisis through swift government action. At the same time, another spokesperson for the British Meat Processors Association warned the pig industry is just 2 weeks away from an animal welfare disaster because of a knock-on disruption to the supply for slaughter. He said, "Doing nothing is not an option." But if you thought the CO2 shortage would just affect meat, you'd be wrong. Many items that come in packaging for long life will be impacted. The industry gave examples such as bread, but also cheese and salads. All sectors of the food industry seem to be calling for quick government action. The chief executive of the Food and Drink Federation said that if the government did not take action, then the impact would be felt within a couple of weeks. He added, and I quote, "And of course that's concerning because we're beginning to get into the pre-Christmas supply period, when warehouses begin to pick up, build up their stocks, ready for the push for Christmas a few weeks later." The government is planning to meet with Ofgem, the energy regulator, to discuss the impact of global gas prices. The response from DEFRA to all of this was Brexit-esque. They said that this problem, and I quote, "underscores the importance of our plan to build a strong, homegrown, renewable energy sector to further reduce our reliance on fossil fuels." A DEFRA spokesperson went on to say, "We are aware of the issues faced by some businesses and are working closely with industry to provide support and advice." The response from Boris Johnson's government has been pathetic for two reasons. They refused to acknowledge that there was a problem at the beginning, which meant that any eventual response would be too late. Second, they continue to deny that it's anything to do with Brexit. If you can't acknowledge the cause, then how the hell do you come up with a solution? Even worse is that there's this dogmatic belief in Whitehall that business should sort out its own problems. But as we've seen throughout the pandemic, we need government not just to get involved, but we need states to work together. This insular mentality has been a disaster. Brexit is causing the problems here, but it's also stopping the government from providing solutions. The Brexiteers need to get into the back and let the pragmatists into the driving seat. However, with the recent reshuffle, that's unlikely to happen. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.